In the names of the ancestors from whom we draw our inspiration, guidance, and strength, namely Isis, Oshun, Ogu, Ezuli, Nzinga, Toya, Nat Turner, Dessalines, we greet you in Haitian traditional terms, One, Respect. In the name of resisting people of Haiti and the world, we greet you in the battle cry of the many, liberty or death. We thank African Echoes for inviting us to speak this evening. And as we discovered, our theme is fulfilling Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King prophecy. We thank you for being here. Unlike what Brother Inuni, I understand what he feels, but I really don't care about those who are not here. The important thing is you who are here. So let me invite you to come a little closer. So what comes out of me may be more what you need to know, what you need to hear. I thank you for the honor of allowing me to speak for you, what you want to know from yourself. Because ultimately, that is all that matters. It doesn't make any difference how many people stand up and clap for you. It makes no difference how many television program or radio program that you go on, what kind of a big star or big whatever you are. Because what is important is, are you yourself? And are you doing what your mission is? We want to know, how does a sister from IT going to talk about fulfilling Martin Luther King's dream? Which dream was this? Little white children and little black children, hands in hands? Do you think this may be the dream that I'm going to talk about this evening? No. That dream is not in me, and I don't know of anybody who has this dream. And what is the dream? Well, it is a dream that is not often mentioned. But maybe it was just a mistake, but one day he said that he believed that one day a very small country, somewhere insignificant, would rise up and crush the United States of America. That is the dream I have in common with King. I come from a very small, insignificant country, trodden down, baffled by every so-called nation friend, sister nation, brother country, whatever it is they call themselves, baffled by so-called international community, baffled finally through education, through miseducation, through conditioning, baffled by ourselves, fooled and trampled by ourselves, because we have been trained to do this. But we must know, what is this country? We must know what is the purpose. A nation is what? A nation is a group of families that come together. They have past experience together, common past experience, and they established a common objective. When you have past experience which give you culture together, and you establish an objective to work towards, then you become a nation. And if we go back to the time where they were creating this country, Haiti, and please call it by its name, Haiti, not anything that you hear other people calling it. Thank you. This is a land that the founders sat down and decided would be the refuge for all black people throughout the world. It's not whatever little group is living on it. It's not the possession, the propriety of the little group that is there now. But their vision was, we're going to create this space here as a place where any black person running from any kind of oppressing havoc, oppressing chaos, they can come here. And instantly, any black person who set foot on this land becomes automatically free and a citizen. They went further. They said, anyone freeing slavery who comes to Haiti will be free. But if you're black, you are free and a citizen. Now that is the mission of this country. So Haiti does not mean this small geographical space there. It means everywhere black people can create a space that is a refuge for other black, then that person is in Haiti. Haiti is, as far as I know, the only island in the Caribbean that has its original name. Even though the criminals coming from Europe, arriving on the island of Haiti, that's the name of the entire island. That's what the Arawak people called it. And this for thousands of years before the criminals arrived from Europe. And when they arrived, they find the people there. It is estimated there were between 2 and 3.5 million Arawaks on the island in 1492. 11 years later, it was estimated less than 100,000 people were living on this island. A little before this estimate, as they noticed that the people were just dropping off like flies, the Europeans went to Jamaica, collected a portion of the population there, brought them to Haiti to dig for gold for them. And that population disappeared too. They went to Puerto Rico and brought boatloads of Arawak and Tainos and Caribs. And that population disappeared too in Haiti. And then, and only then, did the white man, we are told, the good father Las Casas, being so kind, he felt now that they're practically all dead, we shouldn't kill them all off completely. Obviously, they're not strong enough for this labor we want them to do. We should go to Africa and get some big, strong black folks. Bring them here to do this job, to work for us for nothing. This was a very pure father, Las Casas, a very humanitarian man who owned big plantations in Cuba and in Puerto Rico. And in the name of Jesus, he sent for boatloads of our brothers and sisters in Africa to travel the entire ocean, all these many miles, to come here and work so somebody else will get rich. Now, we are told this whole process is supposed to be a civilizing process. We are told the Arawaks were savages. We are told, in some cases they even say they were, what's the word they like to say when you eat people? No, cannibals. Cannibals. They were cannibals. But you know, these Arawaks were living there for thousands of years and multiplying. 3.5 million people eliminated in less than 11 years. A few Europeans came. The Europeans were never more than a few thousand on the island. If we had 3.5 million cannibals on an island, and a few thousand Europeans came, and after 11 years, the cannibals were all dead, and the civilizers were still there. Is there something wrong with this information? Something very wrong. Very, very wrong there. Yes, we have a dream. Yes, we have a firm conviction. For our study of history of our street has taught us. Nations always rise and become extremely so-called powerful. Once upon a time, England used to say, the sun never set. Can they say this today?
No, ma'am.
Once upon a time, France said a lot of things. Once upon a time, Rome said a lot of things. But every single time, some small, insignificant nation rises and places that monster in its place. And I am certain the same, we will see that same thing. We have seen Russia disintegrate, or USSR, but there was a lot of propping, so a lot of us didn't even understand what really went down. And since it was like family affairs, things were arranged in such a way that you and I couldn't really see what happened. And then you know how it goes in the family. Even if I fight with you, we battle, I crush you down, then I help you get up too when we go in front of other people. So it's very difficult for people to really know what went down inside the room. But that's nothing. They think they did the big crushing for this period, but that's nothing. The best is yet to come. We, as a people, have to work seriously. The first war has to be the war on self. You and me and him and she and her and him need to know the white man is living inside of you. He is in your mind. With every book you studied in school, he snuffed inside the tiniest little crawl, this little fit in your head. And I don't know, maybe he has even entered our soul. We need to investigate. But we have a mission. The first mission, before you and I can get together, you need to get together with yourself, armed as we can get, with the best weapon, the highest, most up to the point technology weapon and go out and get this white man out of your brain. And I have got to do the same thing before you and I can get together. We don't need to lament about those who are not here. Those who are not here are not ready to be here. Those who are not here could be troubled by what we have to say today. We don't know what it is, but whatever it is, we know that it is for those who are here. And the important thing is concentrate, you who are present. Concentrate on grasping the essence on what will be given to you so you can go out and have that first battle with which each one of us must have in order for us to come together. We must go out and face ourselves. Look in the mirror. Tell yourself the truth. Don't tell yourself no lies. Without the truth, we're not going anywhere. Yes, Haiti's mission is to create a land, a space where all black people who are in trouble anywhere in the world can come in and find refuge. So when you understand that, you also understand why any nation with this kind of mission in this white supremacy world that we're living in will be, must be, continuously under attack from every corner. That's normal. That's natural. And it is insane if you are an Haitian to make believe or to tell yourself that you're going to go to your country and build a nice home and enjoy the sea on Sunday and, have a little fun, relax. I'm sorry. You should find another place where you should go do this. You cannot come and do this here. Because this here place is the center of the biggest war happening in this world. Because it does.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon or good morning, anywhere you are. Thank you for coming in. We are in air. We are starting a program for today. I hope you guys can hear me and see me very well, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very, very good. Brother Eugene, how are you? How's it going in South Carolina?
Yes, sir. Everything is doing fine. Thank you, brother, for having me on the show this evening. One love.
One love, one love. Africa has no parts. That's the new plan. Yeah, so definitely today we're gonna have a lot of things to take care of. Sorry for I was a little making things around here, but I think we are doing very well. I hope my cameras are not gonna betray me. Yeah, so any further ado, I think as you guys here in Ethiopia we are now having YouTube's now working, so I am not gonna play any music or anything. But I hope I prayed you guys enjoyed it, right?
For sure, brother.
Yep, they enjoyed it a lot. That was very inspiring.
Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, so it's about Haiti, the first country to defeat colonizers and slave owners, Haiti, in 1805, 04 and 05. Before we even were colonized, Haiti has already defeated France. So, and it's the first black nation that is actually symbolizing liberation and independence and freedom for black race. So Haiti is also the birth home of the birth home of a lot of Pan-Africanists as well. So now, back to our program, Brother Benedicto, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, my name is Benedicto Mbango. I am the global president for United Pan-Africanist Movement. The career path, I'm an engineer in the petroleum sector. I've done that for the past 15 years. doing computation engineering with top companies around the globe. So, and also a CEO with Mago Enterprises, and also a mentor for African American youth in the DC area, and as well, I counsel a lot of young people here in the Denver area as well. I am a humanitarian and also support a lot of cause for homeless people in my community, and also support a lot of different organizations here in the United States, from family or organizations to international organizations here. Which, of course, if I want to call the list, is very long. I don't want to take much of your time, but I have a pretty good full of plates where I spend most of my time and just supporting people and helping them to become successful in different areas in life.
Thank you. That's very, very good. Big biography, CV or resume. And I want to come to the UPAM. I think most of my conversation is gonna be focusing on that. What is UPAM?
UPAM stands for United Pan Africanist Movement. If I would tell a little bit about the organization, it's a transnational organization. It's also non-political, non-discriminatory, but a multidisciplinary organization. We focus on development and unity of the African people and African descent around the world in areas that have also posed challenges in their existence, especially in food security, peace building, development, employment, and as well as also in the growth of food security and climate change. So we focus in many different areas where we can be able to support our people to become more self-sustainable as individual, and also be able to unite the African nations for economic prosperity.
Very good. So you say no discriminatory. What do you mean? You mean anyone can join your organization?
United Pan Africanist Movement, if you hear the name United Pan Africanist, so pretty much we are uniting the all individuals of African descent. So it doesn't mean so long as you have a DNA of an African descent, you can become part of the organization. It doesn't matter if you believe, you understand what Pan Africanism is, if you believe in it or not. So long as you can support the mission and the vision of this organization, you can be part of the organization. It doesn't matter if you speak English or speak Swahili, speak French, speak Portuguese, speak Lingala, whatever language you speak and whatever accent you've got, whatever background you come from, it doesn't matter so long as you're an African descent. You can be part of the organization. Yes.
Very good. Now, what is Pan African?
Pan-Africanism, it's an ideology which, of course, it was came forth from the very beginning in early 1900s. So I would say pretty much from the 1897, which of course it all came through Henry Sylvester Williams. And this guy used to be a lawyer living in the United Kingdom at that time, which of course started the whole idea of bringing our people together, and of course started the first Pan African Congress, which of course struggled over times, and of course also led to our independence as African nations as well after a long struggle. But so we have everybody. A lot of people have different understanding about Pan Africanism, but Pan Africanism, focus more on the Africanness, the liberation of African people, the African race, their beliefs, their culture, their ideology, in fact, everything that make up an African, that is all about Pan Africanism. So we want, when Pan African was formed, it was to be able to restore the integrity of a black man and women.
Very good. Now, can you tell me one thing Pan Africa, or at least three things Pan Africa have done for black people in general?
Yes. So if we look down the history of Pan Africanism, we've seen that it's done, after a very long struggle for about 65 years or so, or now over 100 years, if I would say that, they have done a lot for the African people, especially the people in the diaspora, most importantly, the people in the continent. I think those in the African continent have benefit more than those in diaspora, even though Pan-Africanism came from the diaspora. If we look at other black nationalist or black organizations in the United States where they were pushing for civil rights movement, for the freedom of black peoples, integrations of the black people, and also in the Caribbeans and all that, we realize that even though this civil rights movement ended up succeeded through the NWACP, and of course also through Martin Luther King, but white people end up benefit more on these things today than even the black people. However, if we look at the bond of the independence of the African Union today, which came through the same Pan African Congress, it we believed it led it led to the independence of the African people, which includes the all the various nations in Africa. I think from when the Congress started in the when they had the first Congress in the 1900s through the 1945 with the sixth Congress, which of course brought Kwame Nkrumah and also the others as well to come together to see how they can be able to liberate their various countries, and so that we're able to help politically to influence the liberation of the African people, to create that independence and freedom of the African people. So I think that the African people has benefited a lot from colonialism. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect crafted, but that is why we are here today to make sure that we can perfectualize it and we can make it more better and sustainable for the African people.
Talking about perfect, what do you think it has not been done by Pan-Africanism? Where do you think Pan-Africa have failed in your point of view? It may not be a general view, but just how you see that.
I think looking at the history, first of all, the struggle, I want to applaud somebody that we don't talk much about, which is his name is William Edward Du Bois, if you know him. He is one of the, he inspired me a lot, for his consistency, because for 65 years from when the Pan African Congress started, all the way to the independence of Ghana, I think he even died in Ghana. You will see how consistent this guy was, and he revived the Congress two times. Even when they tried, they failed. They tried. There wasn't failing, but they were having a lot of challenges, which we all have to today, where the white people, Europeans, Americans, they suppress that. They try to kill everything that the black people are trying to do for themselves. And so I think one thing that we failed was the fact that when African Union was created, at that moment it was an association of African Union. When it was created, it was a non-political organization, but it became political. Anything that becomes political, it becomes a problem. And so the vision of the Williams, I'll say the Williams because Henry Sylvester was also a William, as well as the Du Bois, which these are the two people who fought very hard for the Pan African Congress that gave birth to the African independence. The main goal was to unite African the continent for economic prosperity, and of course that we can be one people despite of the borders. And so where we failed was the fact that we joined politics, and politics became a problem. We thought that having that independence is that's a liberation that we need. We forgot that economic independence is very, very, very important. So we failed to unite our people, but instead we get independence. We forgot to unite our people. That's why we failed. So I think from my own perspective, the only way we can be able to overcome the current system is to unite the people and not just the economic side of it. Because if you look at the economic, our money is not controlled by us. Our education wasn't controlled by us to today, and our so pretty much if the money is not being controlled by us, our education is not controlled by us. Pretty much they still own us, and that's why we still struggle to today, because we fail to unite. We fail to create an educational system. We fail to create one currency, and we fail to have one language. So these three aspects divided us, and we struggle with it today.
Very good. So talking about Du Bois, can you tell me the difference between Du Bois and Marcus Garvey?
Yes, so I can tell the difference. Marcus Garvey want the people to come home. So Marcus Garvey actually led a massive, and is also one of my my strong pillar, because I sometimes when I think about how he was able to rally the multitude of African Americans to bring them back home in those days where there was less means of communication, and finance was difficult. So there's pretty much in the heart of difficult, challenging time when Black people were facing the United States. So Marcus Garvey was able to rally thousands of people to be able to take them home. So the difference is that Marcus Garvey wanted the Black people to come back home. Why? Uh, Du Bois actually wanted the freedom and the economic freedom and independence of a Black man to restore Black man integrity wherever they belong, and also to be able to make sure that the Black people can be able to unite despite where they are, to focus on the particular on the independence of the Black man, so Black people can be respected wherever they are.
Very good. So, according to this, some research I have done, is pointing out that actually the Boule, which I don't think you have here, which was part of the secret, I don't even think it's secret society or sorority, whatever it is, but they are the one who actually put Marcus Garvey in jail, and they were created by Du Bois. And there is some of other area I found out that there was rather a disagreement between Du Bois and Marcus Garvey. That Marcus Garvey, even though you say he wanted Black people to go back to Africa, that was one of them, but also he wanted them to be independent economically and separated, fully separated. That means everything for Black people only. I mean, like Black race first. That was his statement. His organizations that he created will only employ Black people from any place as long as they are Black, whereas Du Bois organizations were actually being manipulated by white people, and they have loyal to white people. So when you talk about that, Du Bois, he was a Pan-African. I think that we need to double check on that. Of course, Du Bois did fight for Black people, but I don't think he really have good understanding of saving two masters, because John Spingarn, I'm gonna pronounce even the names, is the man who actually organized and established what you just say organization Black WNSP, something like that. So
NWAOP.
yes, it was organization that established by white people, but it operates under Black people, like Black Lives Matter, like Obama movement, so Obama election, like the Black Caucus, however you guys will call it, like Africa Union you were mentioning as well. They all operate by white people, but just have Black people. So I don't think we will call such thing like that Pan-Africanist. If we keep calling that like Pan-African, then that's why we're possibly failing, because if it's sponsored and supported and built and paid and financed by white people, and then apparently it's not going to save Black people. So now moving on, you talked about UPAM. Let me go back to UPAM because that's where I want to. I want to have more information. What have you guys done from?
Yes, UPAM is 3 years old today. Will be 3 years in April. And if I were to go just touch a little bit history about the organization, I think it's very critical for the for the listeners here. Pretty much the movement was formed in April 2020 during the height of COVID-19, and when pretty much everywhere was struggling with having answers about COVID-19, and Africa pretty much shut down. And these three gentlemen came together. One guy from Liberia, and another guy from Zambia. They're all students, and the other guy from Zimbabwe. They, they look at it like there's a problem here, So why do we shut down when the Western world is struggling? There's something that we must do here. I mean, if Africa were to speak for themselves, I think they'll be able to have responses more than just sitting there and waiting for Europeans to give them answers to how they can be able to fight COVID-19. So they came together and they started the movement. Myself, I was invited to the movement, I think about a month after the movement started. And so I was there pretty much from the heart of the organization. So I came in as the president after election, after the first person was appointed. We went to election, and then I came as a president. From there, we've really established a lot of chapters across Africa, also in the diaspora as well, like here in the United States and Canada, Jamaica, and also Dominican Republic, and like other 38 countries in Africa. We have actually succeeded in establishing a lot of different projects and programs that are going to help to support the African people, and of course they are really benefiting from it right now. And we know a movement and organizations like this to become more successful, you need time and resources. One of the good things we are blessed is we've had some good number of people as far as human resources is concerned that has really helped the organization become more successful. Some of the things that we've done so far is to establish some educational programs that we are really focusing towards education, and of course the one language in Africa, which is one of our vision to make sure that we can push the Swahili to become for every country to be able to speak and understand and write Swahili, pretty much have it as, if not the primary language, but at least a second language in the continent. Because for us to be able to move forward and become one people, understanding communication is very, very critical. If I can't communicate with you, can't communicate with me, we don't have, we can't work, we can't move together, we can't do business together. Because the only way we can become successful in running business together is only if I can understand you and you can understand me. So that one language is very, very critical. Secondly, we also established some ICT courses, some high tech courses, which are helping young people to become who doesn't have any jobs to be able to learn those courses through our educational website. We call it the Pan-African Schools. So they are taking those courses there to help them to become self-sustainable, pretty much find jobs for themselves and be able to get that. Because we realize that the current situation in Africa is that extreme poverty, and of course a lot of people are starving. They don't have money to buy food. There's no food, and because they can't find jobs. Young people graduate from high schools, from universities, and they come back home, no jobs, and they end up start doing off jobs where they can't even make enough for themselves or their families. So you end up increasing crime rates and unrest in the continent. So we believe that supporting the people economically is very, very critical for them to start to become independent and for them to have a voice to be able to fight. So we've established that those programs in the educational sector. Currently, what also we established as well is what we call the integration program. The integration program is where we are bringing communities, religion, and as well as other private sectors to be able to work together to develop programs and projects that will help to sustain every communities within the African countries. And that it started late last year. And of course, we have one of our great minds in Nigeria who is testing that program right now in Nigeria to make sure if it becomes successful, and then we're going to expand that in many countries in the continent. So one of the things also we've done is that we established some agricultural farms to support the people in the Mahebe area. These are refugees that flee from Rwanda, Congo. They are in Zambia as refugees, and one of the concerns they had, they didn't have enough food, so we supported with some farms through poultry and of course corn farming to to stop starvation and food insecurity in that area. Currently, we are also securing solar panel manufacturing, working together with the Sudan National Energy Research Center to establish the solar panel manufacturing. This the reason why we're doing this is because every other we realize that every other system that we need to build in the continent as far as infrastructures, developments, also employment, especially in the agricultural sector, we're gonna need good support systems in energy. And we know most African countries, if not all, we are still living in the in dark ages where we have less than 8 hours of electricity a day. So, and that means that there cannot be any good and sustainable development without steady electricity. Including in manufacturing sector, in retail or other businesses as well. Even the farmers that struggle every single day to produce their crops, they can't be able um, to transport their crops from where they produce them to the consumers because they don't have good refrigeration systems to be able to transport their crops or neither to store their crops. So realize that be able to come in and support government by establishing solar panel manufacturing. It will be able to support every single system in Africa as far as development is concerned. Also fighting food hunger and food insecurity, climate change, and so on and so forth. So we want to push into the green energy also by manufacturing solar panels in the continent. And so that is ongoing. It's a process that is ongoing right now. We're working with the Solar Energy Research Center to do that. And again, we want to make sure we can create a lot of employment for our people because we realize that if they don't have jobs, they don't have any source of income, they will not even listen to you when you talk to them about making the change that we need in the continent. People have to have food in their stomach for them to sit down and even listen to you to what you got to say to be able to be the change that we need in the continent. So that's another aspect. We've also established a Wakanda News Network. This is an online news network right now that we're reporting things that are happening within Africa, especially African communities around the world. So we know that media has a very big impact in our communities today. So it's one of the great tools that they're using to destroy us as African people, to disconnect us. And even though it seems like we are connected, they also help us to be disconnected from who we really are and what we're doing. We're focusing on what the Europeans and Americans are doing and want to be like them, whereas we are not them. So we also want to be able to make sure that we can report the right information, the right things that are happening within African communities, without conditioning or without changing it to look like they're trying to blackmail or destroy the African communities. So that news network is also to bring all other media platforms together so that we can be able to have one system and one strong media force out there to be able to pass down our information that we need to pass down to our own people. Most importantly, also, we've established an e-commerce platform where we know that we have people in various parts in Africa that are producing small items here and there, but they don't have the markets. They can't be able to sell their product to the market, to the people, African people. So we spend time ordering our product through Amazon, through eBay, through Alibaba, and all that stuff. So we developed a platform called Made in Africa. This is to help and also to push more production in the continent of Africa, so that people that have the talent to produce different things, to invent and manufacture things, we can be able to sell it within the continent. We have the population, we have the capacity, so we want to make sure that we can produce what is made by Africans and also consumed by Africans. So pretty much good made by Africans can be consumed by Africans. So we want to be able to stop us from buying from China or buying from United States or buying from Europe. So I think that's one of the most fundamental of be able to help communities, help young entrepreneurs, young businesses to also to grow. So that alone again is to be able to make sure that we can be able to help our people wherever they are to become more successful. I don't think I'm missing anything for now, but if I'm missing something, I think I've given you the most critical area of the things that we've done for the past 3 years, which we have more that we're doing as we go by.
Very good. Thank you so much, brother, and for the best insights you did tell me. And we're gonna take a break.
One enemy. It has white supremacy as an enemy. And they are not asleep. They know, even if they kiss up with you, even if they sleep with you, they have identified you as their enemy and they're gonna go after you. If they're kissing up on you, it means that you are in a position where they don't feel they can attack you openly now. If they're feeding you, you should know there's a lot of possibility that this food is poison. If you're drinking from them, you should know that there are great possibilities that there is something in this drink for you. But more than this, if we take a little look at the Constitution of this country, the first Constitution, the only valid Constitution, Constitution of 1805, states clearly this land is the land for all black folks. States clearly any black person landing here becomes automatically free and a citizen. States clearly no white man has the right to buy property here or walk as master on this land. Clearly.
Thank you so much for coming back. We are discussing with Brother Benedicto Banjo, president of UPAM, United Pan-African Movement. He's talking to us from Colorado, in west side of the United States of America, and who is president. The UPAM is an organization that is a movement. In fact, that is non-government and not discriminatory, only for African people, black people. The movement is 3 years old. It's going to be 3 years old. So we are having him in studio, and we're gonna be giving him more questions to explain to us what is UPAM, or United Pan-African Movement. Again, thank you so much, Brother Benedicto, for coming back to our show. I appreciate you. Yeah, so another thing you say, there's a statement you made here that you want to start buying from China or from other places. And from your home country, how much is $1 US?
$1 US is, I think currently it's about 600 francs, every francs. So
600 francs. So you guys even use France money too, eh?
That's what we use, yes.
Okay, very good. So now, if you guys produce a lot of product, do you think this is gonna bring, how do you call that, the balance to the extent that $1 France you guys are using, it will be equal to $1 US?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
Just by producing or creating more works, you think that is gonna solve the problem?
Well, no, it is every problem you have steps that you follow, right? If you do not have a plan, you cannot jump. When you start building a house, you have to have a site, you have to fix the site, you have to have a plan, and from the plan you know how you're going to be able to pass the pipes and all these things that are going to go from water to electricity to sewage and all that stuff. So every to build something which is sustainable, it has different steps that helps to realize the end goal of that thing that you're building. And if you cannot be able to use what you have right now, you will not be able to get what you want. So what you have, make good use of it to be able to get what you want. So I'm not saying that it's going to be the solution to our problems, but it is part of ways we fix the problems that we do have. the one currency in Africa, which of course is one of our key areas. I never mentioned that before because our key focus areas in UPAM is education, engineering, integration, finance and economy, one language, and of course under the finance and economy, we have that one currency, which is very, very critical in the continent. The dollar has a lot of power because it's used in many different places. So you right now, people in Cameroon don't think about dollar; they think about CFA francs, right? People in the West, in Central Africa or part of the French countries in the West Africa, they don't think about dollar; they think about CFA francs. This is what they use every single day. And so whatever that is produced, if you produce your product in the continent, in let's say in Cameroon, where I'm originally from, if you produce something, let's say a shoe, and you're able to sell, somebody who is living in northern part will be able to sell it to somebody who is living in the central part of Cameroon. They will be able to buy that shoe and be able to make a living for the person who produces shoe in the northern part. If we were to able to order something, the same shoe from China, let's see how it's going to cost us. First of all, we are going to stab the person in the north who produces the shoe in the north. We are feeding somebody in China. Does that make sense? So each time we buy out of the continent, we are not only taking our own money and send it to that other country, to China or Europe, wherever we're sending it to. We are feeding them. We are growing their economy while we are emptying our own banks by sending our monies over there. So we are not only killing ourselves, our economy, but we are also starving our people. So we can be able to start by helping those that are producing little things in the continent and help to talk to the people, the population, to be able to support this individual by buying those local products. It is not just only cheap, but it also helps to circulate money around the country and also help to boost the economy. When money circulates around the country, it boosts the economy up, it creates more opportunities for businesses and other entrepreneurs. So this is how we look at it. If we want to go on the political route, that will be completely opposite side of what I'm talking about right now. But UPAM want to focus on economic growth because this is through this way we'll be able to liberate our people from extreme poverty, hunger, and of course also the aspect of bad educational system that we've got. And we know there are two things that influence this world: power and money. If you don't have power, you must have money. If you don't have money, you must have power. And if you don't have those two, you have no place in society. That is very simple. So for us to be able to have a voice, we have to be able to make sure that we can empower people economically so that they can be able to have a voice to become completely independent for themselves.
Thank you, Brother Eugene. Do you have any question you would like to ask Brother Benedicto?
Yeah, for sure, brother. Hey, first of all, I'm Brother Eugene, reporting live from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am one of the Afro Diaspora Political Economic Think Tank movement members, and also one of the producers and CEOs with the New Africa Network media and television broadcast. We'd like to thank you, Brother Mbenga, for coming on this evening. And certainly you've been giving some very vital information that is very important to our people to understand the plight of what real Pan-Africanism is. Pan-Africanism is an idea of people of African descent that have common interests, and to be unified, the historical Pan-Africanism have often taken and shaped by political and the cultural movement and the varieties of the Pan-Africanism. It is a narrow political manifestation of Pan-Africanism's vision to unify African nations where all Black people are living like people, Africans in the diaspora. The African diaspora referred to as a nation where all people of African diaspora can live in a long-term historical process by which African descendants have been scattered through their ancestral homelands, and the sentiment of the people of African descent have a great deal in common. In fact, deserves a notice and also to be of celebration. And this is why we celebrate historical months for Black people as a part of our Black history. In the Pan-African idea, first it came about with the circulations, like you said, within the mid-19th century in the United States that was led by Africans from the Western Hemisphere. The most important early Pan-Africanists was Martin Delany and Alexander Carmel, both of African Americans, and also Edward Byland from the West African, West Indies region. Pan-Africanist is the emphasis of communalism between Africans and Black people in the United States. The lady who believed that Black people could not prosper alongside whites advocates the ideas of African Americans to separate and from the United States to establish their own nation. And it gives us a little idea of where the historical side of it comes into play. And it was in action and formation way before Marcus Garvey came along, but certainly our brother, His Honorable Marcus Garvey, has seen the vision of these gentlemen that was putting this ideology into place. And we thank you, Brother Mbenga, for coming on and being a part of this discussion, because as you know, lately there's been a lot of discussion around socialism, Africans in socialism, Africans in communism, Africans in Black nationalism, and how this relate to us as a part of being in a capitalistic society. Capitalism is here and is certainly not going anywhere. And this is the backbone of how any nation is to survive, in conjunction with the spirituality and the concepts of unification, how we relate to one another in our cultural as well as religious experiences. But my question is for you is, where do you see Pan-African moving into the future? We often talk about the futurism of African people, and certainly we're only out of less than 100 to 200 years out of slavery, and less than 70 years out of colonialism. But we also know that we have neocolonialism that is on the rise as well. And so my question is, how do you think we should handle these challenges with such a diversification, the diversity of how we are playing our role in Black society as well?
Thank you very much for your question, Brother Eugene. I want to really appreciate you for having me here, and I really am so excited that I'm here with you all in this TV, and also celebrate the Black History Month. I also want to really extend my wishes to all those who fought before us, and of course also pray for their soul to continue to rest in peace with those who have departed already. In response to your question, it is very critical for our people. Something that I did mention in the beginning that we fail to do is the unity of our people. And I know that I did mention that we know we are very diverse people, very diverse. We are diverse than any other race we can think of on this planet, and this has been working in our disadvantage. But at the same time, we can use the diversity on our own advantage. And how do we do that? By bringing ideas and knowledge, and we put them together. But we cannot do that without unity. Something that Pan-Africanism has been calling from the start in the beginning. But we interrupted through a lot of infiltration from the white people infiltrating the system to destroy that unity among us, because it said when you united, the forces become so strong. First of all, African people, we are very strong in spirit, and so when you combine those spirits together, what can happen. So it is very critical for the white people to keep separating us by any means necessary, and they've done that, and they pretty much colonized not only the lands and everything, but also our mind. Our mind is being colonized on the condition, to be able to focus on the things that the white people are producing, other than what we can do or what we are doing. So again, the system is being infiltrated, not only by the white people, but also by ourselves, our own people, and which they are doing everything possible to stop this from happening. But one thing that I'm so assured of, like again, consistency. We may not have the number that is needed to be able to bring this unity together, but it is very important that we make sure that we can let our people understand the benefits of us coming together first, because nobody does anything until they have to see something that is going to benefit out of it. We all know that. Again, this is capitalism system, right? We all have to, if we're investing in something, whether our time, whether our resources, and everything like that, they want to see what they're going to benefit out of it. Another challenge that we're facing, which we have to overcome, is the fact that we don't have a long-term goal. Most of us African people will want to see effective results now, today, tomorrow, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. We don't plan. We don't have a 10 years to 100 years to 1,000 years plan, because we don't feel like we're going to live forever. We feel like we're going to die tomorrow. So our mind again has been conditioned, has been through our educational system, so that we believe what they want us to believe. We see what they want us to see. We understand what they want us to understand. That is the reason why every single time a black person or an African descent is try to come up with something very critical, they will rush to buy it off from that person and to close it off. It wasn't African. So we have great people, great minds, like I said. The only way we can be able to overcome this is through our unity. The unity does not mean that Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt has to come together. No, it starts by us, me and you. I'm an African born. You're an American born. We know that there's also that issues in America where Africans, they feel like African Americans are lazy. They don't want to do this. And at the same time, the African American have the also perception about African, born in Africa coming to America. So there's that animosity among ourselves, not just only as African born, American born, but also as between African Americans and also Africans itself. It's just like I am originally from Cameroon. I go to Nigeria, and somebody, I don't speak Igbo, I don't speak Yoruba or anything like that. I become like a foreigner, but I'm still in the same continent, So I get looked at somebody different. And Nigerians go to South Africa, they kill them because they say they're not part of South Africa. They are from Nigeria. So the hate among ourselves has to stop before we can even unite nations. Our unity has to work between you and I, brother to brother, brother to sister, sisters to sister, and all that stuff. We need to be able to see how we can build communities, strong African communities where we are, here in the United States, in Europe, in the Caribbean, in Africa, in Asia, wherever that we are living. Building that trust, that connection is very, very critical for ourselves. And I really want to applaud you for all the things that you're doing. So the only way we can be able to beat this system is that unity. And the unity does not go by political, by us. We have to start from ourselves, you and I.
For sure, brother. And we've often had these discussions over the past 4 or 5 years since we met at the African Union missionary in Washington, D.C., where we brought over 100 intellectuals there to discuss some of the problems and situations that Black people have gone through throughout the centuries. And we have to say that we are a new breed leader, African generation, certainly not in the same position as our parents, as our grandparents were. Many of them experienced things that were much harder than what we've had to experience. But we are certainly the generation that is now in the seat, in the chair of our ancestors, to be able to bring forth change, but also bring forth progress. We have come a long way. And like I stated before, we're just 60, 70 years out of Jim Crow, whereas our parents were segregated and went to separate schools. They did not have a whole lot of interaction with the Caucasians, but we come up a little bit different with the integrated society, and being privileged that we are, being able to learn a little bit more about ourselves and who we are as a people, but also forging the alliances that our ancestors planned, that our ancestors have already previously set us in place to move towards, and that is certainly Black nationalism. We have certainly come a long way, and to utilize our Western education to make sure that it is not a hindrance to us, but also a stepping stone for us to be able to move into futurism. We certainly take our hats off to you, because we know that on the continent, I certainly know about what's going on in Africa, being able to travel throughout the region. And yes, there is certainly much work to be done. But we only do this as a collective group of people. Unification is very important. As an Africanist, Marcus Garvey, in the year after World War I, Garvey championed the cause for African independence, emphasizing that the positive attribution of African people as a collective could move us into the future. And this is one of the reasons why that politics and economics is the stepping stone to be able to do so. But also, like you said too, it is our responsibility. Each generation has a responsibility to take on. And when you said that it is very important that we put mechanisms in place to first feed the people, provide energy, provide the necessary educational resources that they are needing to lift themselves up, but also pulling together our resources to take down some of the boundaries that the colonizers had put in place. As you know, as the Africans was being taken away from Africa, this was done systematically to put them in a position to take Africa itself over. They knew where the resources was coming from, but they also knew that the African man and woman was very, they knew about how to build. They were educated enough to farm, and the manpower that it took to build nations, the Babylonian nations in which we live in and see so comfortable today, these are the nations that we build. We were the catalyst and the backbone of how these nations are shaped today, all the way down to the laws, the legalities of how the nations are structured and how they are governed. So in a governmental perspective, how have you had any challenges with any of the governments trying to see more of a Pan-Africanist view of what is necessary to continue to build on that platform? What are the challenges have you seen so far with just having direct engagement with the politicians, who sometimes are very disconnected from the people themselves? And we know that the people are the government, but sometimes the people themselves feel disconnected because they think the government itself is a puppet agency ran by these political heads that somehow have this invisible puppeteer in the background, which move and manipulate the systems itself, but not realizing that we are the people who manipulate the system. We are the government. So what are the challenges have you seen with just speaking with some of the officials in our day and time?
We have seen a lot of challenges, and some of them, it's the fact to accept the Pan-Africanism spirit. And a lot of them are not, again, because, like you mentioned, they have little or no knowledge about about Pan-Africanism. Neither do they don't understand the benefits of us to foster this particular ideology, and of course to be able to support people, our nations. You see, I think one thing is that, especially the African leaders, they have tested power, and then when you begin to tell them that if you can be able to build something that will benefit your people in your country, by able to give them the right policy, by able to support them, by able to work with the other presidents from your neighboring president, also open the borders for people to travel, goods to travel from one country to the next. They don't understand that. And again, they don't understand it because if you look at COVID-19, make me to understand a lot of things about us. I mean, make me to think more than outside the box. because our leaders are the people that sit and then wait for others to come. So I begin to, and I started putting some dots together, and I find out like what happened. Why are we not critical thinkers? Why don't we think for ourselves? Why do we have to just wait for people to work for us? And this is not only the African leaders, even us, the African people. That's the same. We are want people to work for us. We don't want to work for ourselves. We don't want to think for ourselves. So we just wait for others to come. So the challenge is that when we meet presidents, we talk to them about, what we want to see in the country, how we can support to make the country to become better and successful by using, the current resources you've got so far in the country, how it's going to be beneficial to you and the population. They don't understand the concept. It looks like you're telling them something out of this world, because all what they know is that they'll wait for French to speak, or Europe to speak, or America to speak, and then they say yes, sir, and then they go ahead and execute. They're just there to execute orders from above, from Europe, from America. They just do it. I know some other countries like, we have countries like Mali, and of course Burkina Faso, and these guys that are taking things in their hands to be able to change the narrative of the country and the people to make sure they can be able to work for them. And I begin to ask, like one time I was speaking to, one of the ministers in Angola, and then I asked him, Angola is one of the highest oil producer. I work in the oil industry, and I say it's one of the highest oil producers in the continent. But do you have any drilling rigs? I say no. Do you have any platforms? Nope. So pretty much every person, every company that comes to that country, they build their rigs. They come with their rigs. They come with their platforms, and they come with their tankers. So after they drill, they complete, they explore the oil. The oil comes right back and make the monies in Europe or Asia or whatever, in the United States as well. And I see a lot of this happening. How much oil is being drilled offshore in the various countries? My brother, you will cry. So but these people, they bring back suitcases of money, and they hand over to the president. They say, hey, this is yours, and you are 100% guarantee that you can have a permanent bank account in Europe. Don't bank your own money in your country, because they're gonna riot against you. They're gonna break it. They're gonna take the money away. So store your money in Europe so that you can always have access to it, and your children can always come. So what they do, they think about themselves and about their children. The one thing you don't understand is that they're also being tricked. Whenever they die, something happens to them, their bank account in Europe, they seal it up. That money remains in Europe, doesn't come back to United to your family. So you lost everything, but before you were thinking that they're going to give you the access or all of these things. But we also forget that when you steal the money, put the money back in your country, put businesses and let the money circulate, it will help the country to benefit, right? So, but don't be too selfish so that we just sit there and just think about how you benefit yourself and of course your family. And this is exactly the challenge that we face. People always think about, what am I going to benefit from what you're saying, from what you are telling me right now? Is it money included? No, I don't have money, but I have ideas. I have the knowledge, and because of that, we have the capacity, the human resources, and of course the natural resources to be able to build the nations that if you can freely walk down the streets of your capital, of every town or city in your country, everybody will worship you. So it is always better to do what is right for your people, but they don't understand that story. They all yeah. So this is some of the challenge that we have for them to comprehend where we're coming from and what we're trying to build. But some other ones, they do understand. Again, very few people. This is because our educational system, again, when I put things together, educational system was a scam, was a way to put us down, put us where we are. Because we go to class and study what people have sit in Europe and designed for us. We are not Europeans, we're not in Europe. So we learn things that's supposed to be in Europe, in Africa. And when we go to write exams, we cram everything in that book that is given to us to go pass that exam. And we end up come out with degrees, bunch of degrees. The Africans are the highest educated people. We come with master degrees, a doctoral degree, but we don't have a job. We don't create, manufacture anything. We have mechanical engineers. Can you build a simple spanner, a tool, to be able to move a boat from an engine? No, you can't. So what kind of mechanical engineer are you are? So these are the things, right? We have systems that has been put in place to put us down, but we are so clouded in ourselves, thinking about our stomach more than thinking in our head. What can we do, as leaders, as African people, to be able to make sure that we can have sustainable systems that will not only benefit me, but will benefit people that will come ahead of us, after us, pretty much. So those challenges that we face every single day. If you don't have the money, they don't listen to you. You must have the money to give to them before they listen to you. So these are
For
challenges that
sure.
we face every single day, not
For
only with the
sure.
leaders, but also with African people.
For
Yeah,
sure,
thank
brother.
you. Thank you so much, Brother Benedicto. I think I have so many questions to ask you. I don't know, but let me just go through some of them. Another question I want to ask you is about, you mentioned about Cameroon. Tell us a little more about Cameroon.
Thank you very much. Cameroon is one of a unique country in the continent of Africa, because uh, it's divided in French and English. And This is after
Okay.
the French and France, France and Britain defeated Germans, during the war, the First World War. So these alone has a greater impact because we have two different systems there: the French system and the English system. So that's the conflicts. So leaving that
And,
apart, right?
and did you say you guys we are independent? You say
Uh,
somewhere we are
no,
independent.
no,
Are you sure?
that's what I'm saying. We feel like we are independent, and that is how they make us to feel. It's just a different way of colonization, other than say, well, I'm not going to be the president. A white man or a British man will not be the president in Cameroon, or a French man will not be a president in Cameroon. But we'll put a Cameroonian that will be one of our puppy, who is going to listen to us, and that's why they listen to them to today. So we're not independent. We're just like a caretaker. We're just taking care of something that has been given to us. So pretty much that's why I said in the beginning we failed to unite the people, also to create economic system that will benefit the people. And that's just all coming to what I'm going to say right now. So Cameroon has the challenges of French, English, and when it comes to that, we have tribal different difficulties that every other African country face. If you go to Ghana, Ghana has one language, which is English, and they have different vernaculars, different dialects. But the most popular one there is Twi, right? So most people, if not at 90% of Ghanaians, speak Twi. So when they speak English, they mix a little bit with Twi and all that stuff. But when you come to Cameroon, you know, um, we don't have that. So we don't have any dialect that is made like national dialects, which we can be able to speak as one people. You either speak French or you speak English. And when you go to the north, the people in the north speak Hausa, or they speak Fulani or something like that, and then mix it with French. When you come to the central, where everything is all crowded, like somewhere in the littoral, northwest, southwest, also the capital, which is of course uh, the most populated areas in the country, you'll find that you have people from different areas coming in there. But again, either you speak French or you speak English. And when you go to offices, you it depends what you need. If you speak French, you're considered a Cameroonian. If you speak English, you're considered as a Biafra. You know, so this division within the country, create a lot of animosities, a lot of hate, a lot of division among the same people. And of course, that's been the struggle. And you see, we've had an unrest in Cameroon since 2016, 17, pretty much 2017. Up to today, we're still struggling with that to make sure we can have peace, because the Anglophones feel like we want to depart from the Francophones, and the government say no, you're part of us regardless of what. So um, again, this is when I ask people, the answer is not always division, you know, because even when Anglophones, you know, even they say, okay, you go ahead and go. In the Anglophone section, we also have the issue between the Northwest and the Southwest, which are the two provinces that are English speaking. In those two provinces, they also have the problem between themselves. The other one look more, try to feel like they're more superior over the others, and the others feel like they're more stronger than the others. So there's that fight between themselves. I said, even if they end up divide, they're still going to have the same issues that we're facing right now in the country. And that's the same issue we face in Cameroon the same as we face in every part of Africa. Well, some tribes, because you speak this and I speak that, I speak better this language and other, and so we feel like it become that big problem we all face in the country. So yes, that is the president of Cameroon, Paul Biya, and he's been there. He just celebrated 90th birthday a few days ago, and of course he's been there since as the second president of the country.
How long he been president of Cameroon?
He's been the president of Cameroon since 1982. So you're looking at 41 years.
So pretty much he's the president before you were born.
I was born 1982, so he was born when he became a president when I was born.
Uh-huh. So this is very, very crazy.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's been a great president, but also I think many of our elders, they tend to hold positions longer than what they should. And this is because sometimes the people get very complacent and comfortable with the leaders that they have in place, but understanding that the world is a continuous changing place and must have people who understand are coming up in a newer age that understands the change with the advancements of technology as well as policies, and people themselves are constantly, we are evolving. Human beings are an evolving people themselves as well. And a lot of our leaders, they tend to hold these positions because they don't want to see the country or the nation itself fall into a collapse, and especially with the hard work that has been put into place to keep them to maintain stability. But we also know that
I can assure, he's been a good president because, again, with the current situation, as I've explained in Cameroon, he's been able to maintain peace for as long as possible. But the thing is accountability. Again, I don't blame our leaders most of the time because, like I always tell people, even if they remove Paul Biya and they put somebody else there, the system remains the same, and the person will come in and behave the same because he doesn't act like a president right now. That's for sure. We have people that act on his behalf, but there is no accountability, and that's the problem we face as African people. Not only as leaders, but if we want to act, like, let's forget about the presidents. Let's go to governors, right? What has the governor does to each provinces in the country that you can be proud of, that they are accountable for their position? Nothing. You go to the justice system, the same. Educational system, the same. So, not just only the president, even though the president has, sure they have follow-ups to make sure that everybody's accountable for what they are doing in the country, what position that you are in. You make sure that you use a position properly so that the country, the people in the country can benefit from your position, but you use it to benefit your own family. So the same as the president benefit from the system for his family, the same as any other person holding the position in that. So they've been changing governors, to change, ministers, and so on and so forth. All other positions have been changes. They have changes in those positions, but things has never changed. Is that a problem of the president at the moment? Yes, it's a problem of the president because he doesn't go down there like Magufuli, which is one of my greatest presidents, would do, will go down there to the street, go down to the villages to make sure those people that say that they are in charge of these various departments, the various sectors, they are doing what they are doing on the ground. But he doesn't do that. You know, whenever he has to go somewhere, they have to make sure the road is paved. He uses a helicopter and then come on land. And then wherever he walks like few minutes. I remember when I was in high school, he came and visited Boya, which I was going to school there. That was the first time I saw him in person, and the only time I saw him in person. I think that's the last time I'm going to see him in person. So and the road was paved, but it wasn't well paved. And after he left, he went ahead and fired the Minister of Public Works, you know, because he didn't do a good job in paving the road very well. So you feel like getting to the bumps. But you know, when I get into Cameroon, went to Yaoundé, and I feel sorry for a capital city which doesn't even have a road, you know. So again, you know, from the top to bottom is a problem. So for us to be able to fix the current situation in the country, or whether in Cameroon or any other country, we have to do from bottom top, you know, because the roots, you know, it's like a tree, right? When we cut off the tree on the top, it grows, right? Cut it off, it grows. So when we start feeding giving the right nutrition from the bottom, you know, we have better fruits that bears out of the tree, right? So we don't have to cut it off anymore. When we cut it off, you know, we're still gonna have better fruits. So that is my you know, pretty much in our directions as an individual, to be able to support the African people from the bottom top, because we are, you know, we are so corrupt from the top to the bottom that the only way we can fix it is to start fixing the bottom back to the top.
Thank you so much. So let me leave Cameroon alone. Yeah,
we certainly want the brothers and sisters to unite there. I know the last few years, the English and the French there in Cameroon have been fighting back and forth with each other, thinking that each other are the problems to what exists in society, but not really realizing that the system was already in place before we came along. Exactly. Yeah. And they must understand too, as a collective group of people, the only time that you can bring about change is coming together as a collective. First, being able to sit down and communicate what is going on in a diplomatic fashion, and then coming up with solutions to the problems. Many times we feel that we are different from one another because, like you say, the language barrier. But if you do the DNA research, and especially with Africans all over the world, we'll find that we have more in common with each other than we do apart, and must understand that the colonizing countries, the colonizing nations have worked very hard to put these mechanisms in place to keep us divided. So once we realize this, I know that the new breed leader African generation have certainly realized this, and to be able to communicate this across borders, this will certainly help us to move into the future, both politically and economically. Go ahead, Brother Mani. I'll let you take the mic.
Yeah. So no problem. You're saying what is right, because I think Cameroonians who are French speaking and Cameroonians who are English speaking, please stop. Please stop, because we already have good experience with South Sudan and Sudan. Division is not solution to anyone. We saw another situation again between Ethiopia and Eritrea. We saw another example between Somalia, which is divided in 6 countries now. The Somaliland, the Puntland, the mainland, and so on. And so many countries we can run an example from. So the problem, French speaking, British or English speaking in Cameroon, the problem English speaking are facing in Cameroon, trust me 100%, is the same problem British French speaking are facing. So it's not different at all. If
and I always tell people, I just like, when we bring 2 Cameroonians, French and English, right, or regardless of where we come from, I say, hey, don't speak. We bring somebody neutral and say, can you identify where these people are from? You can't tell, right? You can't, because we are one people. Only when you speak, that's when you can tell where you come from, right? So So let's take what's been given to us by the white people that help to divide us, and use what we have as African people to unite us instead. That's what I always tell them. I said, the people, a lot of people that are fighting this war in Cameroon, it's out of ignorance, because some people say, when I ask them, why do you do this? They say, we are rich, Anglophone say we are rich. We have, the highest agricultural produce is coming from the English speaking. And then we also have the oil in Limbe, in the southwest. And so I said, the oil you're speaking of is just a refinery. It is not an oil field. Refinery can be moved from one location to the next location. They can build a different one in different locations. It means nothing. They can destroy that one right away. It become nothing. So people feel like, we have established infrastructures that can help to make that particular region to become self-sustainable, but we forgot that those infrastructure can be destroyed in 1 second if they want to punish you, and you have nothing to go with. So it is better, like you said, we have to come together, not just only as Cameroonians, but also as African people, and not only as African people, but as African descent around the world, to find a way out of our solutions. If we have resources, we have to find a way to mine those resources and to be able to produce our resources to help us, not let others. It's just like I always tell people, Africa is like, you have a piece of land in your backyard, and then then you don't cultivate it. Somebody else, your neighbor comes to say, hey, I want to buy that piece of land because I want to cultivate tomatoes, right? And the person say, okay, yeah, go ahead, sell it to your neighbor. The neighbor come, add it to his cultivate tomato, and turn around and sell the tomato back to you. But this is a tomato that was cultivated in your backyard, in your own land, that you sold out to your neighbor. Now you're buying that. You're dependent on your neighbor to cultivate a tomato to feed you and your family. This is how I tell people, that's how Africa is. We have everything that we can to be able to build the Africa we want and ourselves, and to be more richer than those they think that are rich in the continent. But we are letting people to buy the land, and then we turn ahead and buy back from those people that we sold to them. Doesn't make sense. If we think about it that way, it doesn't make sense, right? So it
Right.
means that you're depending on them to feed. We are dependent on other people to feed us, to tell us how to live, how to walk, what to drive, what to wear, and what we eat.
Thank you so much.
you.
So moving on, another very important point I want to talk to you about is the collaboration between UPAM, the organization that you are president of, and other organization. In the world, it's estimated that there is more than 7,000 organizations or grassroots organizations, movements, social activities going on that is all calling themselves or talking or organizing about Africa or Pan-Africanism, African liberation, African freedom fighters, and African religions, and all of that. So how well are you when it comes to collaborate and to work with the rest of other organizations?
Thank you very much for that question. I can assure you that when we started, the whole reason was to bring all organizations together, right, for an alliance and see how we can move forward. One thing I can tell you is that it has been very challenging, and I'll tell you why it's been very challenging. Even though we still have organizations that we're working with right now, but it's not like we like what we have planned, because our plan was to make sure by now we would have united all organizations, movements, based movement organizations together, so we can be able to build a better future. One thing I found out as a president is by talking to other leaders from other organizations is that most people have their own agenda. We have one thing we are fighting for, but most of them they are there for their own personal reason. Most of our leaders are not people that are working for the people. You see, the difference between UPAM and many organizations is that we are selfless leaders. We want you to succeed before we succeed. We want to make sure that whatever you're struggling with, we can help you to get it. We can help you to get where you want to be. Because when you become what you want to be, we also benefit from that, because it helps build the community, and it helps bring the development that we want, and it helps for us to be able to work together for a better future. But most people, most leaders, they are there to be able to use the opportunity to make money, for themselves, to feed themselves and their families and all that. This is something. It's sad to say that, but this is the honest truth I found out. We were able to collaborate with some few organizations, and in the end of the day, the part, because again their focus was not the same as ours, their commitment was not the same as ours. I remember when we had one of our collaboration meeting with one organizations. I think they've been existing since 1972, and I asked them, "What have you done for the African people?" I mean, I didn't even know them until recently, and I asked them, "What have you done for the African people?" They talk about they provide scholarships for African people to travel abroad, to study abroad. We've done that and so on and so forth. And I'm like,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
no. I put my head down. I said I feel bad, because again, we want to liberate Africa. We want to build better educational system, but again, we are sending our finest to build the Western world that is already built. Each time
That's what.
we give scholarships to those talented people in the continent, we are taking them and sending those doctors, those great engineers, those great minds to come to America or to Europe to build America or Europe. Because guess what? I'm here in the United States. I work here and I pay taxes. I grow the economy, right? People in Cameroon doesn't get nothing from me. Or the only thing that they get from me is maybe I'm building a house or I'm doing this, but nothing big that will help the government to grow or the country to grow. So if we are really want to have a better Africa, why don't we look around building better curriculum or better educational systems in the continent, so that we can have scholarships within Africa? People can fly from Europe, come to Africa to study in Africa. People can fly from America to go to Africa to study there. I don't see the need for us to collaborate, because your aim is to be able to move people from Africa to build the Western civilization, and then African civilization still in the same position. So like I said, some people are there for money, some other ones are there because they just want to make themselves feel like they're part of the solution, but they're also part of the problem. Because I talked to one guy one time, and he was one of the president, one of the organizations, and he asked me, "Do you even think it's possible to unite Africa?" I said, "Yes. If I didn't believe in it, I would not be here." And he said, "Nigeria is struggling to be united. How do you think you can unite African people?" I said, "Brother, if you do not even believe in your own vision, how come you're even here?" I said, "You have to believe in what you're doing for you to do it successfully." And I believe, I may not have all the answers, but I know we have the answers as one people. When we come together, we have the answers. We can make it happen. And I know that if we work together, nothing can stop us. And some other person asked me, Gaddafi failed, Thomas Sankara failed, and many others that you can call in the continent. They failed. So how do you think that you as ordinary person can come do it if leaders can do it? I said, because they are by themselves.
That's right. That's right.
Gaddafi was by himself. Thomas Sankara was by himself, and so on and so forth. But if we collectively as one people, as not even as politicians, because the easiest way we can be able to succeed this is put politics aside. Let's come as one people for the common good of each and every one of us. That's how we make it happen, and nobody can stop us.
That's for sure.
And we're building you by such a way that even if I'm not there tomorrow, somebody else who takes the next position will be able to carry it forward. Even if there's no president in UPAM, the structure is such a way that UPAM can be able to sustain itself and to be able to achieve the goals.
That's right. Being able to pass the torch to the next generation. And we often say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you can certainly teach a young one to do so. So that's where it's very important for us to teach our young generation what is the right thing to do and to have more integrity and moral characteristics to go along with that. When we speak about Pan-Africanists, and it is a government and grassroots objective, Pan-African advocates and leaders such as Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Selassie Haile, Julius Nyerere, Robert Sanko, Sabuko, Ahmed Sekou Toure, Kwame Nkrumah, King Shabuza II, Robert Mugabe, Thomas Sankara, Kwame Ture, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, Muammar Gaddafi, Yuri Kogota Museveni. These are the grassroots people that have led us in the right direction, such as Joseph Roberts, Love, and Marcus Garvey, and Malcolm X, and W.E.B. Du Bois, and many other of our new leaders who have come online to do so. And these new leaders are us, the generations that are here today in the chair. So yes, brother Mbango, we thank you for
Bango, the end is silent.
and Bango. Thank you for thank you for your correct pronunciation of that. I know sometimes I get a little confused with the African names.
British, and so mess it up.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, we're still united. And yes, sir, we appreciate you spending your time this evening to come on to be a part of this show and discussion. As I stated before, it certainly starts with the discussions to be able to lead us in the right direction, being able to come to the table to discuss things that are necessary, but also debate in a healthy way that will help enlighten the people to help us come up with those solutions that are extremely needed in our day and time. Before we get too far, I know we get a little bit closer to the end of the program this evening. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do outside of the political and business arena? What are some of the things that you like to do and enjoy in your free time?
If I tell you I have free time, then I'm lying, because I know I do have a duty to be the president of UPAN. And being the president of a movement like that, it means that you can't sleep. You know, if we must succeed, you can't have enough sleep, because if I spend 8 hours in the bed, I have people in Africa waiting on me, people in the diaspora waiting on me, or they call me and I can't respond to them. Then they can't believe in me. They can't believe in the cause of it. So if I tell you that I have free time, then I'm lying to you. But however, on my free time, I do enjoy traveling. I think most of my life, from my job, I don't know if my job makes me to like traveling, or maybe I like traveling before my job. But when I started, after I graduated from university, I started traveling for work, working offshore in different countries and all that. So I just enjoy doing that, as I enjoy meeting different people, learning different cultures, and I think that helped me a lot, because I get to understand people better, why they do what they do, why they believe in different things, and so on and so forth. But I like traveling. I like swimming. Maybe because also I was born next to the water, not to the ocean.
That's what Cameroon is right there. Yeah, Cameroon is a very beautiful place, and the shoreline is beautiful as well.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, so I enjoy swimming. I also enjoy good company. So pretty much just have good dialogues, and I talk to a lot of people a lot. And I love reading and exploring too. I love to explore. So especially in the United States, sometimes I don't like to just drive. If I want to travel to the East Coast, I'm taking 3 hours flight. I'll just drive 24 hours, just to see the country line. And again, that helped me to understand the beauty of the planet Earth and how we can be able to use this planet in the best way possible without destroying it, but to be able to enjoy the best we can with nature. So I love nature a lot, which also give me a position of like climbing mountains, and also doing hiking and stuff like that. In the other hand, I enjoy movies as well. So that when I want to relax myself at home, maybe so I go to the movie theater. It's something that just takes me out of the contents of living. So whenever I watch movie, that's the best time that I'm not thinking and I'm not bothering about my like other things. But so because I have every time that I'm awake, I'm either thinking of something. I don't drink, I don't smoke. So if I was drinking, probably when I get drunk, I would say that maybe I'm a different world, but I don't drink, so I don't smoke as well.
Well, you're
Um,
not missing anything. You're definitely not
no,
missing
I'm
out
not
on
missing anything.
anything.
I knew it was a bad habit from small, so my parents told me, well, I
Right,
choose not to
right.
do it.
Now you
But yes, so
and
those are
you're going
things
to be
I love.
traveling. You're going to be traveling to Ethiopia and Sudan pretty soon, and like you said, you have some adventures that you are pursuing in both those territories. And with Sudan, we know that it is a venture that you're taking place to bring online a manufacturing facility for renewable energy, such as solar panels and manufacturing in that arena. Where do you see yourself going in the future, and how have they been responding to what you're trying to do to help them with that need at the moment?
I can tell you that people in Sudan be very collaborative. The institution itself, the government, even though the government is also in a shackle right now, where it makes it a little bit complicated, but those responsible in this collaboration that have been very, very, responsive, and they like to work with us. They enjoy working with us, and I see a lot of potential. So what's going to be happening in Sudan is the fact that we are using their facility to be able to start small scale production, and the production not only going to be only on solar panels, but also going to be on like irrigation equipments like irrigation pumps and all the other lightning and all these things that generators we're going to be producing that are going to be like solar energy. Um, and so while we are working, so at that moment we're also training uh, you know uh, our workers, engineers, technicians, and so on and so forth to get ready. Our plan is to start construction for a 600 to 1,200 megawatts solar panel plant. We're still also trying to allocate the country. Again, this is a discussion that is ongoing with various head of states to see what country will accept our conditions, because again our conditions is the fact that we can start breaking down those borders, that include from in the educational sector, also in employment, and as well as trade. We're having discussions with different head of states, the ones that come up with the best with close to what we are seeking for. That's where we're going to start that constructions on by next year. With that being said, as far as Ethiopia is concerned, unfortunately we have postponed the trip. The reason also is because with the Adwas Day and other stakeholders in the country, they thought that it would be better that we postpone it to another day, which of course, because if we need proper planning for the global conference, we'll have to be able to extend most of it, like at least about a week of planning with various stakeholders, including, ambassadors and ministers, and of course the prime minister and the president of Ethiopia. So we had those discussions, and we all come to an agreement that it will be better that we have the postponement for another day. So we are planning. Sometimes also we trying to look at a calendar where we can be able to feature the pre-launch, because we have the pre-launch first before we can do the actual conference, in which we want to be able to bring leaders from all across the world in Ethiopia. So this includes organizational leaders, political leaders, business leaders, private sectors as far as entrepreneurs, also entertainment, fashion, and many other things. So we want to be able to bring everybody there. So it needs proper and great planning to become successful. The Congress that happened in the 1900s, we want to make sure that it happens in the 2000s as well. And this time is going to be different, because by the time we leave Ethiopia, we want to make sure that we have a brand new Africa. everybody know their responsibility and what they need to do in order for us to build a better Africa.
Thank you. I think Brother Eugene is off. So pretty much, I want to finish this program today, but according to what you told me, it seemed like you are working with no one single organization.
No, we are working with other organizations. We have partnership with many others, which includes which includes we're working with what they call them, yogurts. We're working with we're still having partnership agreement work with the All African Student Union. That is in the process. We're also working with the African Youth Movement in Africa. So and as well with the let me think. Currently, we do have there's so many of them. We have Dan. We're working with Dan, and especially in Nigeria in fostering educational programs on the ground in Nigeria as well. Because Dan is also focusing on that. We're also working with AWS, which is the social media professionals. These are professionals that provide support, consistency and training in many different areas as well. So we are working with them. Those are our current partners, including the Sudan National Energy Research Center. So we want to be able to attract organizations that are actually there to work with the people. When we don't just want the numbers, we will want results. That's what we're looking at. Result is more important than the numbers. So we had also created a group which that include many other organizations, include the United States of Africa, and also the African for Economic Empowerment. I think also the Black Consciousness Movement and many other ones. So we have one group that we're still discussing and still trying to see how we can be able to bring them on board. And this is also some of the areas of the integration team where we are working with local partners on the ground, so local organizations which are not international but national organizations in different countries, and that has been going well with Nigeria, with Botswana, South Africa, Sudan, Gambia, and also in Zambia. So these are the there are various people. We also have negotiations with different airlines, which also going to help with traveling and other e-commerce platforms. So which include the Ethiopian Airlines. We're still having those discussions, and also Rwanda Airlines and of course South Africa Airlines. So and then we also have different schools as well that we're partnering with, including University of Dar es Salaam, also the Kisi University in Kenya, and also the Pan African institutions in Cameroon, and so on and so forth. So we have a great multitude of partnership that we just want to make sure that each partnership has an impact to the people. If you're not bringing anything that's good for the people, there's no need for us to waste your time on our time.
Thank you. Now, finally, we are closing. Do you have any sponsorship or people who are supporting you? Because one of the problem I found out with my fellow Africans at home and abroad is that we do not touch any pocket for any reason. I don't know. We have so many billionaires, millionaires, thousands, hundreds of thousands in banks, and so on. But when it comes to support, I don't really know why they don't support. Even if you tell them that you are committed, they will not support you at all. So are you having any support or sponsorship or people, organizations, or businesses or countries that are giving you hand to push the work you guys are doing?
Unfortunately, I would say not at this time, but we are working with potential partners that will help us, in achieving these goals. We just had one also with some other banks, which of course we're still working towards that partnership. I don't want to call names until it's finalized, you know what I mean? But when UPAM started the first 2 years of UPAM operation, we wanted to focus on building a solid foundation. and also having, some result to show people that, hey, we are here because you are there, so we are not here because we are here. So, and this were our focus for the first 2 years, of course, which achieved that. So, begin late last year, and also beginning of this year, we had started looking for support, which, like you said, is great challenge. And something that I've noticed in it from the very beginning, because a lot of people call me. I receive calls every single like when I'm, so as I'm awake, my phone rings all the time from people across the world. So um, again, you're right. For the African people to dip their hands in their pocket to support these, it is very difficult. And I understand. I understand in the sense that some people complain about some Pan-African leaders have taken money without no results. So they've sponsors different things and they haven't seen any results, which is totally understandable. And I understand for the people. And I don't blame them for that, because again, most of the time, we are not selfless leaders. We are there because we want to benefit ourselves and our families. We're not there for the African people. Secondly, is that a lot of African people do not believe in the dream that we're pursuing. Like I did mention in the beginning, that we do not have a plan as African people. Our plan that we have is individual plan, is being individualized. What is my plan has been, as a Benedicto, what's my plan? How do I want to grow myself and my family? That plan, it is my plan. It is not your plan. So, but we do not have a plan as a collective people. So each time you come up with a collective plan that involves everybody, everyone's, most people start looking at, what do I benefit out of it? The first thing is benefits. And when do I start benefiting? So when they come in and they see that they're not going to get anything out of it in the next year or 2 years or 3, even 5 years, even 10 years from now, the bailout, we don't want to support this, because again, they want fast result. But we all know, you and I know, that there is no fast result. Anything that has fast result is fake and is scam, and is on, that's a very fake promise, that you can get, and always have bad ends. Like the end result is always bad, because there's no free lunch. Anything that you spend your time in, somehow, or if I give you something, it's because I'm expecting something from you. So, but the African people, we have not really sit down to build something substantial that's going to benefit, the community as African descendants around the world. So that's why it makes it very difficult for them to dip their hand in their pocket to give to you. If they want to give to you because they have pity on you, they can give you $100, but no commitment. They don't commit themselves. So what we do as UPAM is in-house fundings. We call our members, support little thing here and there. The farms we built in Zambia, it was members who put in money together to do that. All our platforms that we do have, members put money to do that, to be able to sponsor those things. The trip to Sudan, members put money to do that. Everywhere we have to Ethiopia, everything that we have to do, members contribute. So we have, the good thing we do is that we are fortunate to have good-minded executive, global and national executive members who believe in the cause of what we're doing, and so they support, not only financially, but also, they spend their time and resources, other resources as well, to make sure that we are moving towards our goals. So that's how we've been succeeding as UPAM.
Very, very good. So I am very, very sorry for that, because it's something I see. Our people are ready to go to France meetings where they pay $1,500 but even if you ask them to give you $50, they will not give that to you at all. Our people, I don't know exactly which does. I don't really understand. People have in white men banks millions, hundreds of thousands, and I don't really
still
understand.
believe in our people, though. I believe in our people. I believe in each and every one of us. I know it's a matter of time. And sometimes your good work you do always attract the good-minded people, and sometimes when the good-minded people comes, even those that doesn't believe in you can say, "Oh, let me at least come in and support." So I still believe in each and every black person. I don't blame us from anything that we're doing because we were put in this situation. Unfortunately, not all of us have the same mentality to come out of it on time. Some people will drag them out of it. Some people will, voluntarily come out of the current system that we are, the colonized mindset that we do have. So, but I can't say, that we are bad. Even though we have all of this hate among us, the division among us, but we can all see where it comes from. And again, we all understand that not everybody have the same way we process things, the way we analyze things, and then the results that we achieve, we have through our analysis is always different. So regardless of whether we're struggling right now, so long as we are here, you know, I still believe in every single African descendant around the world, and I know we will do it. And I know we'll do it in my time when I'm still alive. I'm not gonna die before it happens. It's gonna happen right in my face. I
That's
believe in
right.
that.
That's right. You have to be proactive. That's for sure. And this is why the New Africa Network media broadcast was developed to help bridge the gap between brothers and sisters in the African diaspora with brothers and sisters on the continent. And certainly with the technologies that we have today is really moving us in that direction. This is something that our ancestors did not have. And just being on a unification basis, that's what we're leaning towards. And I believe that we're on the right track. You have to be proactive. But also the New Africa Network was also developed for connecting the business organizations to the grassroots organizations, the nonprofits. And this is where we are able to certainly bridge the gap between the disconnect of the people, because the nonprofits always have to have a campaign to bring funds into its institution, whereas we are able to get more of the Black owned and operated businesses to be engaged and also help with the aspects of delivering this information to be effective. So thank you, Brother Bango, for sharing this information. I'd like to read our creed to our listeners, those who are tuning in to the tonight's broadcast. I am an African, regardless of where I'm born, where I live, my tribe, my religion. Africa is my identity. God bless Africa. I am African.
Thank you so much.
Amen to
that. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna close or finish this program. But do you have anyone, Mr. Benedicto, that you would suggest to come to our panel discussion?
Yes, I think I have some few people that I can, send your contacts, and again, these discussions are very critical. We have to disseminate the right information out there to the public, to our people, and we also have to share, this network, so that people understand, other than watching Instagram every day and TikTok and Facebook that are meant for Western media. We can be able to pass down the right information to our people to make them to understand that it is time for us to come home. And coming home means that accepting one another as African people. I also want to use the opportunity to call on all African leaders, the ones that Pan-African and even non-Pan-African, that regardless of our obstacles or challenges, regardless of lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, we are still Africans. And none of us are perfect. We were all born into this, and we lost our way. We lost our way because everything about us was lost. And right now, we're trying to bring pieces together. Which sometimes those pieces is not going to be the right one. Maybe made up, maybe not made up. But again, we all know that the most important thing that we have in common is the humanity in us. And what does that mean? It means that I love you as a brother, I love you as a sister, and you love me back. And I'll be able to support you whenever, if my hands can reach out to the support that you need, give you the support, be able to work together and not look at me as I am from somewhere that you're not from. I don't relate to you, because at the end of the day, whether we accept it or not, we are related. We are one people, regardless of whether we accept it or not. and that will not change. It's something that nobody can take from us because we're Black and we're Africans. And so we cannot take advantage of the system. We cannot take advantage of our brothers and sisters to make riches out of them, for ourselves, but instead be able to help others to become successful in every aspect that they want to. So I think I'll be able to forward some people that you can bring on these shows, and we can talk about more things. And I'm always ready. And I know the Ethiopian TV, they're always fond of calling me all the time to speak on that TV. But I can always make time if I need to come back here, especially during this Black History Month here. I think I'm always available so we can have more discussions and we can find a way forward together as African people. Again, we need to focus on areas that will help us to become successful, areas that will unite us, areas that will create relationship between you and I, other than areas that will create division. The ones that are already there, the barriers are already there. Let's find a way to break it down. Go past the barrier, get to a point where we can look at ourselves as people of integrity. Because when I look at ourselves as Black people, I see strong people, I see strong spirits, I see the people that are more related to the earth, than some other people that feel like they're not related to some. I don't understand. But however, I just really want to thank you all for having me here. Again, let's focus on these key areas. Education, very important. Engineering system is very important. So we need to develop engineering infrastructures to help support Made in Africa. We need to integrate our people. So be it from the tribe, from different tribes, communities, religion, because again, I know most Pan-African people, they don't believe in religion, but it is there, it's already part of us. So we can't throw it away, because it's just like we can't throw politics away because it's already part of us. We need to accept it. We need to work with it. We need to find a way to bring our people, both in the Christian, Jews, or whether Muslims, or whatever religion we're practicing. We need to find a common ground. Again, first as African people, secondly as humans. And also we need to help with our economic systems, to create opportunities for other people, for our communities, to have growth and success and become successful. We need to focus on each and every one of us who speak Swahili. Myself, I'm learning. I'm not very good at it, so please don't speak Swahili to me right now, but I'm trying to speak better Swahili. But I think it's very important, because if you are from South Africa and someone from Congo, they want to do business together. They don't have to do between English and French. Or if you want to do business in Angola, you don't have to deal with Portuguese. Or you want to do somewhere in Egypt, you have to speak Arabic, something like that. So there's the potential for us to speak one language. And sometimes people ask me, that means I have to forget about my language or my culture. I say, no, the language is like English. You speak it.
Yeah, so why you didn't have to forget your culture and your language when you speak English or French?
Yeah, so it's not depriving you from speaking your own language and anything like that. So it's just an additional language that you have to learn for integration and, of course, for communication and to relate with our brothers and sisters across the world. And again, very important, information communication technology is very, very critical. The world is moving advanced into a tech world. Artificial intelligence is really killing us. It's going to be pretty much a pandemic in the future. But at the same time, we have to be prepared for that. So we mean that we have to train more people into the tech world. We have to make sure that they are tech ready. We have more people that can create and invent things, and of course, we can be able to become high tech people as well. So technology is very important, and we have to use those areas. So all of these things are very important. UPAM, one of the goals to UPAM is to make sure that in the next 5 years, Africa become the food basket to the world. So other than us buying food, like Ghana right now buying cereal from America, which saddens my heart, because the local farmers down there will be dying of hunger and starvation. We can be able to produce cereals in Nigeria and be able to supply it to people in Egypt, or not Egypt, so in the Middle East, or people in Asia, or people in America, and so on and so forth. So if America can produce its own food with harsh winter and harsh summer, Africa has rainforests, have good soil, everything that we need, even the areas that have drought. That's why we're also working on making sure that we have equipment that can also help with rain harvesting, also irrigation systems that will also close the gap of droughtness in those areas that we have the ability, the possibility to feed the entire world. So, mean we have to have enough food first, then we can sell it to the entire world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Benedicto. Brother Eugene, do you have something you want to add on it before I close?
No, I don't. I just like to say thank you, brother, for coming on the show. And certainly you've been certainly an inspiration to us all. And we look forward to working with you in the very near future. And whatever that we can do from here to broadcast, to be able to relay information about some of the things that you're doing to better our people, that is certainly what we're here for. Black power to you, brother, and good luck on everything that you do. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
One love.
Yeah, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end of our program today, where we're discussing with the President of or the CEO of UPAM, United Pan-African Movement, from Colorado in the western side of United States of America. I hope you guys will enjoy this. I will see you guys in next one, which is next Saturday in Western time, US time, at 6 p.m. And here in Africa is in midnight. No, it's actually from 2 in the morning to when we end. And I just want to leave you with this article from Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere in Ghana, 1997, where he said that Africa, without unity, there is no future for Africa. So you can find that on news. Without unity, there is no future for Africa. And we have saw that. So it is a very good article to read if you are anyone want to know more about Africa and what is going on. So that being said, I wish you a nice weekend. May God bless Africa. May God bless all the children of Africa anywhere they are. My name is Iman Yohani Paul from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. African nationalists, or what they call Pan-African. I also Swahili advocate. I love you all. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
One love.
One love.
And this law, and now when you learn that IET is actually on its, I think we are in Constitution 38 or 39. I don't know how many constitutions we have since the Constitution of 1805. If you understand, and of course in most books, you will not find a copy of the Constitution of 1805. They will begin with the Constitution of 1807. Even though they will have the Constitution of 1801, which is before Haiti's independence. But most people can never find a copy of 1805. But if you understand the mission of this country, then you also understand why this Constitution cannot be this readily available. With every Constitution, they removed the mission of the country little by little. And the very last thing to fall out was the article on white man cannot buy land or walk as master on this land. And it was removed in 1915 during U.S. occupation.
Yes, ma'am. Tell them who your enemy is.
And the Marines encircled the Parliament at that time when they wanted to have this law removed from the books. They had already been manipulating several weeks already. Several new laws came in, removing this one, removing that one. But when they got to this law about white men, even this Parliament, which agreed with almost anything the U.S. asked. The U.S. asked to turn left, everybody turned left. Turn right, everybody turned right. But when they said we must remove this article, every parliamentary person said, not me, I don't want to be involved with this. I'm not here. So the US Marines encircled the Parliament House, arrested all the Parliament folks, wrote the new decree to remove this law from the books, and passed it.
Democratically.
Democratically, thank you.
How American?
What type of democracy that was?
Okay.
Democracy?
All right? So, why? People will tell you many things. I'm sure there are books on tops of books you will read as to why, the economic reasons why they had to occupy Haiti. Oh, no. The trouble, so much coup d'etats and too many killings of officials and too much trouble in the country. That's why the U.S. had to occupy Haiti. But here's what the U.S. did. When they came in the first time, they occupied Haiti. First, they changed all the worthwhile laws from the books. I'm sorry, that wasn't first. The very first thing was, Haiti was the only country at that time who did not have their money backed in the Americas, backed by the dollar. Our money was backed by gold. Our entire reserve, gold reserve, was taken away for safekeeping, we were told, and brought to Fort Knox. It has yet to return home. This was 1915. When somebody asks you, why is there so much poverty? When some white person says, oh, I want to go help the poor people in Haiti, so I'm going to bring a little bread and a little water for them. Ask them, why don't you just ask your government to give them back their gold? Right. Yes. So, we're looking at a country that has